Welcome back, everyone. So the plane's coming along pretty good. Just finished up painting it white and coloring on the windows. But I wanted to show you the electronics setup. So this is the plan for the electronics. So it's going to be running off of a 4-cell battery, probably a 1300 milliamp hour, just because I have a bunch of them already. The ESC is going to be connected to the motor, obviously. And then the internal BEC and the ESC will be powering the camera, and it'll be powering the RunCam DVR. It's just going to record the camera. I'm not going to have a FPV setup that streams it back to the ground. And then I have another BEC. This is 6 amp ready-made RC, and it's going to power the receiver and the 6 servos that will be installed on the plane. So here's all the components. These will be all connected together. That will be connected to the battery, and that's the ESC. It'll power the motor, and then 5 volts from that will go over here, and this is the DVR. It'll power the DVR and the camera here. The signal wire from the camera will go back to the DVR, and the signal wire from the ESC will actually go over to the receiver. But then this is the 6 amp BEC, and it will be plugged into the receiver to power it and the 6 servos. So that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and start soldering those up and installing them in the plane. Alright, so I've put the electronics inside the fuselage now. I've got the BEC and the ESC up here in this first spot, and then the receiver's right there. I've got 4 servo leads that will plug into the 4 servos for the ailerons and flaps. And then I've got the servos for the elevator and rudder installed there. And then this is the video cable and power cable for the RunCam, which is mounted up here on the tail. I'm going to paint over these wires so that they're white, and then I will tape them down probably. But I'm going to do that after I have painted the stripes on it. This plane's going to have the same stripes as this one, red and gold stripes on it. So I've had a lot of progress since the last time. I finished painting the plane. It's got the stripes, red and gold stripes on it. The canopy's done, the cockpit, it's pretty much done. It's all free-handed with a marker. It's going to be held on with Velcro. But right now I'm working on getting the servos all situated, all the wing servos. So these are the aileron servos on the outboard of the wing, and then these are the flap servos. I've wired it up so that I only have 2 servo plugs to unplug and plug in. Or all the power and grounds go together for all 4 servos, and then one of the signal wires goes in through one cable, and then the other cable, all 3 wires are signal wires. So it makes it easier, so I don't have to unplug 4 different cables each time I put the wing on. So I was just testing everything, getting the servos going in the right direction. Alright, so I got a lot of stuff done now. The plane's almost ready to fly. I just finished up getting all the servos connected for the push rods, for the ailerons and the flaps, and setting up the mixes and everything in the radio. So now we have the ailerons, elevator works, rudder, and then the flaps are on a delay, so they go down slowly. And here is like the main battery compartment. I haven't figured out exactly where the CG will be yet, but I'm assuming the battery will be somewhere around here. To pop off the cockpit, it's just held on with Velcro in the front and back there. And then this piece was also held on with Velcro on the front right here. This battery bay, it runs from here all the way up to here, so I can move the battery anywhere between there. And hopefully the CG will be able to balance out with the battery in that area. In the middle part of the fuselage here, we got the receiver and the 2 servos here. This is the rudder servo, and it just goes in through there and then out there. And then the elevator servo is actually underneath this box. I just made this box so that these wires wouldn't get tangled up in it, since it's lower and it's really close to where these wires will be. But it's under there, and then the push rod goes through there, and it pops out of the fuselage back there. Yeah, I got all the wires wrapped up together with some zip ties. Right here's the DVR for the camera. It's a RunCam DVR. I'll put an SD card in there, and then I'll be able to record the video from the tail camera back there. And then under there is the BEC. I believe it's a 6 amp BEC. and it should be powering all the servos. The camera and the DVR will be are powered off of the ESC's internal BEC. So that's what we got so far. It's almost ready to go. I'm just gonna go do some touch-up paint on some areas, like I'm gonna paint over all these wires and the servos, paint over the hinges so they kind of match up with the rest of the plane. There's a couple areas where the paint just doesn't look quite right, like back here. I'm just gonna touch it up, get rid of any lines. On the bottom here, I've got the landing gear all glued in. So I use those brackets that I described earlier in the other videos. And the landing gear wire is just this wire. I bought it from flighttest.com. It's about 3mm metal wire. And then I have these wheels. These are 2-inch wheels. And I 3D printed these little caps that I designed. Super glued those onto the end of the landing gear wire to hold the wheels on. The nose wheel is fixed. It's not steerable. So my plan is that hopefully I'll have enough rudder authority to steer the plane around, at least enough just to take off and not like go in a circle. But I just Gorilla Glued the wire down in there, the landing gear wire, in all of these. And you can see I still have to paint over it to make it blend in better. But it seems pretty strong so far. The plane's very sturdy. So hopefully it holds up and doesn't get broken. I did end up putting the servos on the top of the wing just in case the landing gear gets messed up and I have to take it off and use the plane as like a belly lander. So at least I'd have that option so the servos wouldn't get damaged. So that's why I put them on the top of the wing. So this is of course the original plane. Had a very short wingspan, and the new plane has a much larger wingspan. It's roughly 58 inches. So I'm hoping that it flies good. But I think it looks pretty good. So that's all for now. Hopefully the next video will be the maiden flight.